Before sunrise, the city of Iloilo glows quietly. A soft amber light spills over the Panay Gulf. Fishermen pole their nets, practiced rhythm and grace. Students cross clean walkways lined with trees and silence. There's order, rhythm, and something else. A hidden intelligence at work beneath the surface. While much of Asia's urban growth comes with noise, this small Philippine city hums with intention and care. It has fewer skyscrapers than Manila's crowded skyline, less wealth than Singapore's polished districts and towers, and yet, it's designing a future worth studying, a future that bigger cities now quietly admire. Because in a century of overdevelopment and climate anxiety, this small city may have discovered the secret formula, not through ambition, but through awareness. Not through expansion, but through empathy. The ocean doesn't speak here, it remembers. And in Iloilo, memory has become design. The city listens to its past, not just its plans. It builds with restraint, not reaction. It grows with grace, not greed. The morning light touches rooftops and riverbanks. It reveals a city that doesn't race, it reflects. There are no horns blaring, no towers rising fast, only quiet movement, thoughtful steps, and deliberate choices. This is not a city chasing global status. It's a city cultivating local soul. And that soul is beginning to resonate far beyond Panay. Urban planners from Jakarta to Barcelona take notes. Architects cite Iloilo's walkways in their presentations. Environmentalists praise its river restoration as a model. The world is watching, not because Iloilo is loud, but because it is clear. And clarity, in a noisy century, may be the rarest form of leadership. This is where the story begins, not with a bang, but with a breath. The origins. Before its quiet transformation, Iloilo was a forgotten port, a provincial city shaped by time, tides, and trade. In the 19th century, Spanish galleons docked here. They carried sugar and textiles bound for Europe's markets. The city's wealth flowed from the fertile lands of Panay. It earned the title Queen City of the South. But by the mid-20th century, things began to fade. Wars disrupted trade, and political neglect took root. Iloilo's river, once the city's heart, became choked with waste and forgotten stories. Its industries declined, its youth left for Manila. The silence that followed was not failure, it was pause. Because sometimes progress needs to forget itself to be reborn. In the early 2000s, a quiet coalition began forming. Engineers, planners, and citizens tired of chaos came together. They didn't chase the dream of becoming another Manila. They chose something rarer, to be livable before grand. At the center was the Iloilo River, a symbol of decay reborn as the axis of hope. Architect Paulo Alcazaran envisioned a living public space, not a monument to wealth, but a breathing city spine. The Iloilo River Esplanade became the blueprint. Over a decade, thousands of trees were planted. Illegal fishing and dumping were banned with resolute. Continuous walkways emerged, shaded, clean, and connected. They became the envy of larger, louder cities. Where Manila walled itself in traffic and tension, Iloilo opened itself to the breeze and balance. Where others built towers, it built trust and terrain. The transformation had begun, quietly but completely. And while the world was shifting in noise and speed, Iloilo was shifting in silence and strength. This was not just urban renewal. It was a return to rhythm, a rhythm that would soon echo far beyond its shores. Transformation, the green blueprint. Iloilo's planners understood something fundamental about the future, that the next great competition between cities would not be economic, but ecological. While Asia's megacities drowned in concrete and smog, Iloilo quietly rewrote its urban DNA with intention. Public transport before traffic, pedestrians before profit, waterways before walls, trees before towers. Every road told a story of restraint and renewal. Every tree was a decision to breathe slower, longer, wiser. It wasn't the fastest path to growth, but it was the wisest, most sustainable one. The city didn't chase density, It curated dignity. Green spaces weren't leftovers. They were priorities. Drainage systems were designed not just for flow, but for resilience, for rhythm, for respect. Iloilo didn't build to impress, it built to endure. And in that endurance, it found its identity. The blueprint wasn't just technical, it was philosophical. A belief that cities must serve nature, not fight it. That progress must be measured in breadth, not just in buildings, and that the future must be livable, not just profitable. The People's City. Iloilo invested not in spectacle, but in connection. Bike lanes now stretch across the city with precision. 11 kilometers of dedicated, safe roads that rival any in Southeast Asia's urban landscape. It was the first Philippine city to design a comprehensive bike network with global standards. Recognition came from UN Habitat and ITDP, but the real reward was local, in movement, in joy. In cities like Bangkok or Jakarta, traffic is destiny. In Iloilo, it became design, thoughtful, inclusive, intentional. The city didn't just reduce congestion, it redefined mobility. Sidewalks widened, crosswalks respected, public transport prioritized, and people began to notice and return. Migrants came home, startups emerged. Universities partnered with local government to create climate-adaptive programs and urban labs. The city began to breathe again, not just physically, but socially, emotionally, and economically. Iloilo didn't build for tourists, it built for trust. And in that trust, it found its strength. The river that heals. The Iloilo River, once a wound, became its spine of renewal. For decades, it had been choked with waste and neglect, a forgotten artery in a city that had lost its pulse. But through careful rehabilitation and strict enforcement, water quality rose, mangroves returned. Fishermen once again cast their nets, this time into a river that gave back. The Esplanade became more than a walkway. It became a symbol of restoration and rhythm. Joggers, families, vendors, all returned to its banks. The river didn't just flow, it healed. It reminded the city of its origins and offered a blueprint for its future. Even now, the silence tells its own story. The river, once forgotten, had remembered its name, and with it, the people remembered theirs. This wasn't just environmental recovery, it was cultural revival, civic renewal, and ecological wisdom. Governance and vision. Urban renewal rarely succeeds without politics. Yet in Iloilo, governance became collaboration, not confrontation. Former Mayor Jed Mabilog and later city leaders championed transparency, inclusivity, and long-term planning. Private sectors joined, not to dominate, but to cooperate, to co-create, to contribute. Universities became think tanks for urban innovation. Businesses became environmental partners, not just profit centers. The city didn't outsource its vision, it built it together. It wasn't perfection, but it was participation. And participation is power, the kind that lasts. Where other cities imported solutions from abroad, Iloilo built them from conversation, from community. Town halls mattered, feedback was heard. Policy was shaped by lived experience, not just theory. The city didn't just govern, it listened. And in that listening, it found legitimacy. Governance wasn't a hierarchy, it was a dialogue. And that dialogue became the foundation of transformation. Resilience in a warming world. But the world outside was heating up. Typhoons intensified, seas rose. Climate anxiety became a global language. Iloilo sits on an island ringed by storms, and yet it prepared, it adapted, it endured. Drainage systems were redesigned for extreme rainfall. Evacuation centers were elevated above flood zones. Urban zones were planned with climate in mind, not as an afterthought, but as a starting point. The lesson was simple. You cannot fight nature. You must design with it, not against it. So the city leaned into its geography. It protected mangroves, opened rivers, used parks as buffers instead of barriers. Green belts became shields, trees became infrastructure. Even as other cities drowned in ambition, Iloilo floated on balance, on foresight. It didn't deny the climate crisis, it designed for it. And in doing so, it became a model for others. A city that doesn't just survive, it teaches. It shows that resilience is not reaction, it's readiness. And readiness begins with respect for the land. Iloilo didn't conquer nature, it cooperated with it. And that cooperation became its quiet superpower. The global signal. Today, urbanists from around the world study Iloilo's transformation with curiosity and admiration. Not because it's flashy, but because it's functional. Not because it's rich, but because it's wise. The city sends a signal to the world that small can be smart, that quiet can be strong, that sustainability is not a trend, it's a truth. Iloilo's walkways, bike lanes, and riverbanks are now cited in conferences from Nairobi to New York. Its governance model is taught in classrooms. Its climate strategies are replicated in island nations. The city didn't ask for attention, it earned it. And in earning it, it changed the narrative. This is not a story of a miracle. It's a story of method, of movement, of meaning. Iloilo didn't rise overnight. It rose with intention. And that intention is now shaping the future of cities, not just in the Philippines, but across the planet. Because transformation doesn't need noise, it needs nuance, and Iloilo has plenty. The city's greatest export isn't goods, it's guidance. And the world is beginning to listen, not to the roar of megacities, but to the whisper of wisdom from Iloilo. The quiet economy. While megacities race for skyscrapers and global capital, Iloilo built something subtler, a sustainable economy. It didn't chase headlines or international rankings. It chased harmony, resilience, and long-term relevance. New business districts grew not as monuments, but as ecosystems designed for people, not just profit. The Iloilo Business Park rose where an old airport once stood. It wasn't a spectacle, it was a statement. Planned with pedestrian zones, shaded walkways, and public art, it invited movement, conversation, and reflection. Office towers didn't dominate, they blended. Retail spaces didn't shout, they welcomed. The city didn't build for scale, it built for soul. And in that soul, a new kind of economy emerged. One that measured success not in speed, but in sustainability, inclusion, and coherence. Tourism followed, but it wasn't loud. Visitors came not for spectacle, but for serenity. They walked the esplanade, biked the tree-lined avenues, and found in Iloilo a rhythm worth remembering. Hotels rose, but so did homestays. Luxury met local, and both thrived. Trade once built bridges, now it tests loyalties. But in Iloilo, trade builds trust between people, between past and present, between heritage and innovation. Markets didn't just sell, they connected. Crafts weren't just commodities, they were culture. The city's strategy is not to compete, it is to cohere, to align, to resonate. And coherence, in an age of chaos, is rare power, the kind that lasts. Startups found space not just to grow, but to belong, to contribute, to collaborate. Universities partnered with local businesses, creating incubators rooted in community needs. The economy didn't just expand, it evolved. It became circular, inclusive, and deeply local. Even foreign investors noticed and respected the model. They didn't come to extract, they came to engage. Because Iloilo didn't sell itself, it shared itself. And in that sharing, it found strength. The quiet economy isn't passive, it's purposeful. It doesn't roar, it resonates. It doesn't dominate, it demonstrates. And in doing so, It redefines what prosperity can mean, not just for Iloilo, but for every city searching for a way to grow without losing itself. This is not just economic planning, it's cultural preservation, environmental stewardship, and civic pride. Iloilo's economy is quiet, but it's clear. And clarity, in a noisy world, may be the most valuable currency of all. The present moment. Today, Iloilo stands quietly at the intersection of heritage and innovation. Its colonial-era facades have been restored, not replaced or erased. The city doesn't chase height, it cultivates harmony. In 2024, Iloilo was named one of the most livable cities in the Philippines and a UN-recognized model for sustainable urban design. This recognition wasn't won through spectacle, but through substance. Here, the future moves differently, slower, yet surer. Each building whispers its role in balance and purpose. Because Iloilo is rich, but because it's ready. Ready to host innovation without losing identity. Ready to grow without forgetting its roots. In a world obsessed with scale and speed, Iloilo proves that intelligence can be small and still be global. Its greatest achievement is not technology, it's trust. People trust their river, their walkways, their neighborhoods. They trust their city to protect what street curves toward reason, not rush. The city's calm is not weakness, it's strategy. While megacities wrestle with pollution and urban fatigue, Iloilo quietly draws investors, tech workers, and green developers. It doesn't shout for attention, it earns it with clarity. Singaporean and Japanese firms have begun partnerships for clean energy grids and smart waste systems. Not matters. And that trust has become the new infrastructure. Even now at night, when lights ripple over the esplanade and the tide slides inward with quiet rhythm, you can feel the heartbeat of a city that chose wisdom over speed. The benches are full, the air is clean, and the silence is not emptiness, it's intention. In that rhythm lies a quiet defiance, a refusal to be rushed, a commitment to be real. Iloilo doesn't compete, it composes, and the world is beginning to hear its melody. Every century has its silent innovators, cities that don't roar, they listen. They don't dominate, they demonstrate. In the shadows of Asia's giants, Iloilo is scripting a different future, one not built on noise or glass, but on memory, care, and continuity. The city reminds us that progress need not be violent, that growth can feel like healing, not disruption. The ocean doesn't speak here, it remembers, and through its memory, a city has learned how to endure. It has learned to build with patience, not panic, to design with empathy, not ego. Perhaps in the quiet of Iloilo, we are hearing the new sound of progress, one measured not in towers or GDP, but in breath, space, and belonging. The walkways don't rush, they invite. The buildings don't glare, they glow. The people don't push, they participate. Because sometimes, to outsmart the world's biggest cities, you only need to remember what it means to be human. To build for people, not just for profit. To honor the past while shaping the future. Iloilo doesn't need to be the biggest, it needs to be the most thoughtful. And in that thoughtfulness, it becomes timeless. The city's strength is not in its skyline, it's in its soul. A soul that listens, adapts, and endures. This is not just a closing scene. It's an opening invitation to rethink what cities can be, to reimagine what progress should feel like. Iloilo has shown us that silence can lead, and that the future doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives softly, like the dawn.